Everyone, time once again for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So, the new project, in case you're wondering, came in today. I'm going to show you it briefly towards the end of this video, and then I think for those of you that watched the channel recently, you know that I'm going to be out of town from tomorrow, Thursday, to this coming Monday, back in the shop Tuesday. So I wanted to have at least one video to upload during the time that I was gone. So I think I'm going to do a somewhat thorough introduction to that project on a separate video, and then I'll drop that on the channel maybe tomorrow, Thursday, or maybe Friday. We'll see, just to kind of have something to kind of throw out there when I'm gone and we're not doing day in the life videos. So look for that maybe, like I said, Thursday or Friday. And but I will show it to you very briefly, just not in a lot of detail today, just to kind of whet your appetite for what that is. Anyway, so let's see what happened inside our shop today. So, much to no one's surprise, Rafa continued working on this one. And the brakes, I think I mentioned the other day, I spent quite a bit of time sourcing and gathering up various spacers and stuff like that, and had my buddy Todd machine us some spacers for the inner bearings and stuff like that. So yeah, all that stuff is in now, with the exception of the inner grease seal, which is the one that rides against here. And I did find that seal with the correct dimensions online. I just need to order them or whatever. But yeah, other than that, all the major pieces are here. So again, the backing plate itself is spaced this way from the spindle by, essentially a 1/4 inch. And then the bearing spacer here is spaced this way 1/4 inch. And then there's another spacer that takes up some length in here, because the Porsche drum and the distance between the bearings is narrower, quite a bit narrower actually, than the bus one. And so what happens is, when you put the Porsche drum on here, you run out of threads before the nuts are tight against the inner bearing. So thick washer there to kind of take up some of that space, and then the nuts go against it, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we got all that stuff now. So Rafa pretty much took the front brakes back apart, and then started reassembling them with all those spacers and stuff in there. And that was actually most of his day. It's a pretty big job, bigger than it sounds. One thing that took surprisingly a long time was the drilling holes in these metric 10.8 bolts, which are very strong bolts. So we had to get longer bolts to bolt the backing plates to the spindles, because again, they're spaced out by 1/4 inch. So we needed bolts that were a little longer. So high grade metric bolts, and they were a bit of a bitch to drill through to put safety wire on. So believe it or not, quite a bit of time spent drilling holes in bolt heads. Not the most exciting thing ever, but it's got to be done. You don't want your front brakes coming off. So yeah, it's all assembled here, both sides now, safety wired up. Pretty much now waiting on me to get the inner grease seals, and then these can go together. So that's pretty exciting. That'll be a pretty big milestone on this one. The back ones, again, were pretty easy because they're pretty much just a straight bolt on, but the front ones, yeah, lots of kind of adapting and stuff like that on them. But it'll be worth it, because these are huge, basically a 10-inch brake versus an 8-inch, and then 2 wheel cylinders versus 1. So yeah, huge difference here. So this thing is going to stop amazing. So Rafa did that, and if you've got a keen eye, you also may have noticed that the front bumper went on. And sorry, there's not much room in here to get back and admire it, but yeah, it went on. And so, lots of little details. The carriage bolts that were on here, the heads of them were too big, so we got the correct ones. And then also the carriage bolts that were in here were just like stainless steel or whatever. They're supposed to be painted the white center color. So we had our painter paint those nicely. So yeah, looking all correct now on here. Look at that. Got the right color, right carriage bolts, all those little details that we love. Looks like it just rolled off the factory floor. So there you go. Anyway, so that was most of Rafa's day. So for me, I did actually manage to get a 26 millimeter pump for this one. So if you follow the channel, you know that I took that thing on like literally like a 2-mile test drive yesterday. And when I came back to the shop, the oil pressure light was already coming on at idle, which, you know, you can sometimes see that on like a long drive, on a like on a hot day, long drive, maybe pulling a lot of hills. It mentions it in the manual that you may see it, but I mean, this was literally after maybe a 2-mile drive on very flat roads. So obviously the oil pressure was very low. I measured it with a gauge, a couple gauges just to like even double check. And yeah, it was very low. So what I was hoping the case was that this motor had the, let's see if I can find it here, had the stock oil pump in it, which on a 25 horsepower had little teeny tiny 17 millimeter gears on it. So let me show you guys this thing, because this pump is just kind of silly how small it is. So there it is. So if you're used to looking at VW oil pumps, you can already tell how short this is. So let's see what the one we put in it looks like. So 26 millimeters is, let's just say, about an inch, roughly. So pretty much you can see to the end of the tape measure, that even a little bit more than that, that's the new gear. So basically 50% bigger gears that we put in, 26 millimeter. That's pretty much what we put in all 25 and 36 horse motors. The 17 millimeter pump, I'm sure, was more than adequate when the motors were new and tight off the factory floor. But, you know, I don't know who rebuilt this motor. I didn't rebuild it. And it's possible that the cam bores were wore out, as they often are on these motors, because, again, the cam rides right in the magnesium case. There's no bearings. So usually the cam bores are wore out, so the oil pressure, they lose oil pressure there. You know, I don't know how high of a quality of an align bore someone did, if they even did one. There's tons of places that these things can lose oil pressure. And having this tiny pump in there was definitely not helping. So again, upgraded to a 26 millimeter pump, got it all in there, and boom. I didn't put the pressure gauge on there, and I don't even see any point, but I took it on like a, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 mile ride, or drive rather, and you know, put some load on it, got it good and hot. Also, it's several degrees hotter today even than it was yesterday. Not so much as a flicker of the oil light. So whatever it's doing now, I'm very comfortable with it, with that that big ass pump, big compared to, enormous compared to the stock one. So I think we're good. So thank goodness that seems to have taken care of the oil pump issue on this one. Was pretty sure that was going to do it. And again, I was very happy to see that it did have that tiny pump in there. If somebody had already upgraded the oil pump and the pressure was as low as it was, then it probably would have been time to start thinking about going through the motor. But luckily none of that happened. So there you go. Took this thing again on a ride, running, driving great. And there's very little left to do to it. Still need to replace a couple hubcap clips, get some chrome hubcaps, paint the centers black. I think that's about it. So I'm hoping to get this guy his car next week. Speaking of getting people their cars next week, this one, I think other than some more miles, is also done. So I sent it back to Octavio's shop today. And now that we're sort of done with the e-brake and all this stuff, had him go ahead and put the carpet on the center tunnel here. And of course, it looks amazing. So that was really like one of the last major things for this car, was to go ahead and put that last piece of interior in. And yeah, this car runs and drives great. Looks much better since I lowered the back about an inch and change. So yeah, this car just needs some more miles for some more confidence, and I think they can probably take it probably also next week. So let me pause this for a second and we'll take a look here at long last at the new project. So here you go, guys. This is the new project. So 68 Karmann Ghia, literally been in the same family since day one. So it's in good company because that 74 Beetle has also been in the same family since day one. So this car was bought by the current owner's dad, brand new, off the showroom floor. And then when she got old enough, she drove it all through high school, and I don't know, even through like college and into her adult life until she needed like like a grown-up car or whatever. And then unfortunately the car then sat for a long time, and I'll go into more detail on the walk around video that I do on this car. So but yeah, that's the new project. So look for a video on this one with a little bit more detail coming up. Okay guys, so back inside. It is hot. We're having a heat wave here in Southern California, and I know there's parts of the country that are much hotter than here. However, it's like 96 in the shop today. That's pretty toasty. That's like probably 4 degrees warmer than it is outside. It gets hot in here, especially in the afternoons. Try and keep fans running and drink ice water. It's about all we can do. Anyway, so that is it for this week, guys, as far as day in the life of Vintage Classic Specialist videos. Again, I will be out tomorrow, Friday, obviously won't be in on the weekend, and Monday, and then I'll be back for more fun with day in the life of Vintage Classic Specialist videos on Tuesday. And then again, I am going to, before I head out tonight, film a walk around video on the new project 68 Ghia that you just saw. So look for that. I'll probably drop that in the next couple days or so. So with that, I will let you guys go, and thank you as always for watching, and we will see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.